Today on Notsam Wrestling, John Cena is actively trying to ruin wrestling. CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins are headlining Wrestlemania. Jey Uso has a new Wrestlemania mission. Naomi has a new character and so much more. This is Notsam Wrestling. Welcome to Notsam Wrestling. So much going on right now. Of course, getting ready for WrestleMania week. But we're not quite there yet. We learned a lot this week about what's going to be happening. First of all, John Cena coming out on Monday Night Raw. So John Cena comes out and has made his declaration known. He is trying to ruin wrestling, is this John Cena. Now, look, I refuse to accept any kind of blame for teasing the kid from Belgium at all. First of all, I did it out of love. Second of all, it was entrapment on John Cena's part. John Cena coming out there and saying that he made fun of that kid on a national, international stage so that then we would make fun of that kid and we're the bad guys for it? No. Entrapment is there for a reason. Mr. John Cena, I refuse to accept any blame for it. And we all of us, talking about that wonderful little kid, we did it out of love. Plus, all of us kind of know, too, we've all seen The Incredibles. We know that one day that little kid from Belgium will be the greatest supervillain that professional wrestling has ever known, and it will all be your fault, John Cena. But maybe that's what John Cena wants. As I said, he's trying to ruin wrestling. I actually think that Cena is doing an excellent job of explaining why we're not getting a big change in the aesthetic, in the presentation, in the music, in the gear. I'm assuming his moveset will not change at all. The only thing that's changed is the way he interacts with the audience and the clarity with which he speaks. That he doesn't try to get people hyped up anymore. That's really the only thing that has changed. And I think that he's done a great job of incorporating the lack of change into what the character is. That the lack of change becomes far bigger than any change actually would be. The way Hollywood Hogan became Hollywood Hogan and put on the black and white and the lightning bolts up his legs and all this stuff. John Cena says no, because he knows. He's right. We've all had these daydreams of what a heel John Cena would look like, what he would sound like, what his music would be like. We all want that. That was part of us wanting John Cena to turn for so long, was that we wanted a new John Cena. And so Cena is sitting there and he's at this place where it's like, yeah, I'm turning, but I have to be a real heel, which means I can't give people what they've been asking for. And so the whole motivation behind the character now is that he's done giving people what they want. He's done giving people what they asked for. And so along with that comes, no, I'm still going to have a new t-shirt for every city that I go to. I'm still going to wear the colors that I've been wearing. He's literally wearing the same jorts that he always wore with that American flag on the back pocket and everything. Those are the same John Cena jorts from like years and years ago. Nothing is changing, and that's who and what the character is. Now Cena is now saying that he's been aware of the criticisms the entire time. That not only has he been aware of it, but it's been affecting him and motivating him the entire time. All the naysayers, he wasn't just brushing them off. He wasn't just charging forward. He was soaking it all in. Like this had been a plan the whole time. Cena's saying that he's been playing a game with the audience, much like the killer in Saw drops off a tape recorder and says, "Hello, wait, I got something fun for this.
Hello, I'd like to play a game."
John Cena is doing the same thing where he says he's been rewarding us for good behavior and punishing for bad behavior. That this sociopathic mission is one that he's been on this entire time. And it goes all the way back, he says, to 2005, when he gave us all the opportunity to have something new. When he introduced the Spinner Championship for the first time. Now, look, I will say that I do feel heard. I do feel like for all of us that were around in 2005 up until, for 10 years, from 2005 to 2015, for all of us that were around booing John Cena, poo-pooing the spinner belt, for all of us that were saying that thing is ugly, for all of us that were saying it's making the championship look like a toy, everything counts. It's all being paid off now in 2025. Anybody that was over, 15, 16 years old during peak John Cena was saying these things, was booing John Cena. I mean, when The Rock came back for WrestleMania 28 and started the Fruity Pebbles campaign, we were all on board calling John Cena Fruity Pebbles. Now, look, it got John Cena on the box of Fruity Pebbles, so we all ended up winning in that instance. But when The Rock started pointing out these things, teasing the top good guy, we were kind of all on board with The Rock when he was doing it, because we all saw this in John Cena. And now is the time. Your time is up. My time is now. That John Cena is making us all pay for this. He says that it ate him alive. We ate him alive when he came out with that thing. But he said, and I don't know that I believe him, that it was a test. That it was a test the entire time. And we did something so dumb by letting him know what bothered us more than anything. We love professional wrestling more than anything. And what we don't want is somebody ruining it. If you ruin professional wrestling for us, then what have we got left? And John Cena says, well, now that I know that, it's exactly what I intend to do. 20 years ago, he said, you told me what would hurt you the most. And so here I am, 20 years later, to do that to you, to hurt you the most. I am telling you right now that my mission is to win the WWE Championship, and I am going to ruin professional wrestling. He said, I'm going to win the championship. I'm going to just make it so that you can't even say Ric Flair's name anymore, that anytime somebody brings up who's won the most world titles, you don't get to say, woo! You don't get to stay wheeling and dealing and kiss stealing and styling and profiling. You don't get to say any of it anymore because you have to say John Cena. And then he says he's going to do the worst thing you could do. He's going to retire as champion, which means that they'll have to create a new title, which means that new title will be a toy. And wrestling as its legacy, because John Cena will hold the record, and wrestling in its current day, because the title won't mean anything, because John Cena retired with the real title. And in that, he will have ruined professional wrestling for everybody. And that would ruin it, you know. That would be a terrible thing for professional wrestling. That's another thing that I like. I like that John Cena is justifying not changing his character at all and making it, and it makes him more of a real heel. I love the idea of these storylines. The broad strokes, anybody can pick them up, right? Casual wrestling fans, people who have never watched wrestling before, people who haven't watched wrestling in 20 years, you can turn on the TV and pick it up. But for the hardcores, for the real ones, for those of us that are watching every single week and have been watching every single week, we know and we talk about it as if we should be talking about it, as if we should know. We talk about it and we say, well, you know, the tried and true tradition is that you go out on your back. The legend has to go out on his back, and they put this in movies. They talk about it whether it's Beyond the Mat, whether it's you know, the wrestler. You have to go out on your back. You have to give back to the industry. Whether you're Terry Funk, whether you're Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24, whether you're whoever, you go out on your back. Whether you're Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 19 against The Rock, you gotta go out on your back. And John Cena says, I'm going to retire as champion. I am not here for a year to give back to the business. I'm not here for a year to give back to you. I'm here to take. And when I leave, I'm bringing the business down with me. Now, I love this straight up as a character. What I don't know is when and why did John Cena decide to do this? Because it feels like Elimination Chamber night hit, and maybe you want to go back to Royal Rumble. Maybe you want to go back to the press conference. But it feels like at some point a switch went off because none of this seemed like it was in the cards leading up to the Royal Rumble. When he announced he was returning, when he announced he was in the Rumble, when he participated in the Rumble, none of this seemed like it was in the cards. There was a hint of it when he said what's best for business is me going to WrestleMania and winning the title after the Royal Rumble. There was a hint there. But then it was after the Chamber where it all clicked in. When did he decide? First of all, what kind of sociopath does a social experiment with an audience for 20 years? What kind of performer is so insane that for 20 years they sit there messing with the audience, doing experiments on the audience, rewarding the audience if they react properly, penalizing the audience if they do not react properly, as opposed to just performing and taking in the reaction? What kind of maniac does that for 20 years? So why for 20 years did he do that? What type of data collecting mission were you on? And why now have you decided, okay, I'm going to let you all know what's going on, and I'm going to light this bomb off? Why didn't you tell us at Money in the Bank when you announced I'm coming back for a year, but I'm coming back to destroy everything? How come you made it pretend like you weren't coming back to destroy everything, but then said you're coming back to destroy everything? Why? Because the way I see it, I don't think John Cena sold his soul to The Rock at all. When I listen to John Cena on Monday Night Raw, it doesn't sound like John Cena just decided. It doesn't sound like John Cena had one plan, and then The Rock came to him with all the rewards in the world, and John Cena turned around and said, okay, I'll sell you my soul if it means I can have this. Because I think that's how we all read into it. And I think that's how a lot of us were waiting for John Cena to respond to that. But that's clearly not what happened. This is clearly something that John Cena says he's been working on for 20 years. So was it an instance where he told The Rock, hey, by the way, I've been doing social experiments on these idiots for 20 years. I am not really a good guy. And The Rock said, oh, okay, we can do something with this. Go kick Cody in his testicles and let's get you a world title so we can complete your plan. Is that what happened? Because everybody assumed that Rock wanted Cody's soul. Cody said, maybe John Cena had sold his soul to The Rock long ago. Maybe John Cena sold his soul to somebody else and it was traded around. You know, at one point, Bart Simpson's soul, he thought he sold his soul to Milhouse, but Milhouse traded it for Alf Pogs. You remember Alf? He was back in Pog form. Maybe John Cena's soul has been traded around. Maybe he sold his soul to get to where he got early in his career. And now it's in the hands of The Rock. Who knows? But there's way more than meets the eye going on. And right now, technically, this story, as far as John Cena is concerned, the John Cena portion of this story, the story of John Cena, has nothing to do with Cody Rhodes. John Cena did not come back now because Cody Rhodes was the guy to beat. John Cena just wants to be the champion, and Cody Rhodes happens to be the champion. John Cena's beef is with the audience. John Cena wants to ruin wrestling for the audience. And so in order to ruin wrestling for the audience, he just has to beat Cody Rhodes, which is why Cody Rhodes comes out on Raw and he's like, whoa, hey, here's the problem. I'm the guy, and you ain't getting through me. I'm the captain now, he has said. And that's the biggest flaw in your whole plan, Big Match John. You can't beat me. I'm not giving up like that. I'm the one representing these people, and I'm the one you're trying to beat. I don't think so. You know, I think Cody, John Cena is trying to destroy pro wrestling. And Cody is here to be the savior of pro wrestling. And honestly, when it comes to top guys, who better to save the industry as a whole, to play that role as the superstar saving wrestling than Cody Rhodes? You know, I honestly don't know if this becomes personal towards Cody Rhodes unless Cody Rhodes wins at WrestleMania. And I know. A lot of you are going like, what are we talking about here? What do you mean Cody Rhodes wins at WrestleMania? John Cena wins at WrestleMania. We all know this, and that's possible. John Cena very well might win. I think a lot of people are betting on John Cena winning at WrestleMania. I think we can all agree that this build that John Cena himself is on right now is not one that ends at WrestleMania. The John Cena as a villain is not a story to tell from Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania. I think the John Cena story as a villain feels like something that's going to take most of this year, I would imagine. That's the way I'm taking it in right now. If not the whole year, then most of the year. And I believe a couple weeks ago, I compared it to CM Punk's heel run at the end of his time in Ring of Honor, where we thought he was done. We thought he was a babyface, turned heel, spent the last 3 months in Ring of Honor as a heel, and only turned back to babyface for his very last match so he could have his farewell. That could happen with Cena, or Cena could stay a heel the whole time, or Cena, I guess, could be a babyface again by the summer, but I don't think so. It's not the way it's just not the way I see it happening. Okay? This psycho version of John Cena, right now, what makes him a heel is the vengeance that he has against the audience. I think seeing this John Cena with a bone to pick with specific superstars could be even more interesting than what we're seeing right now. I think there's a real world where John Cena does not win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. I think there is a real world where John Cena does not think about Cody Rhodes at all, goes into WrestleMania with a simple plan of winning the WWE Championship to destroy everything for the WWE fans. But because he doesn't consider Cody Rhodes at all, and Cody Rhodes does nothing but consider John Cena, that Cody Rhodes is able to beat John Cena. And this starts a whole new arc of John Cena now not only wanting to destroy WWE, but specifically wanting to destroy Cody Rhodes, becoming obsessed with Cody Rhodes the same way The Rock is obsessed with Cody Rhodes. I think what really got me thinking this way was SmackDown. And I think one of the smartest things that WWE could do going into WrestleMania, because they love planting seeds right now for way off. And you can look deep into the seeds that are being planted, or you can ignore them. It's totally up to you. And some of them are ignorable. Some of them don't bear fruit. But others, oh, yeah. This was something that we planted months ago, if you were looking. I loved Randy Orton interrupting Cody Rhodes' promo on SmackDown. And the reason that I loved it is because, to me, it substantiated that odds are Randy Orton is next in line for a WWE Championship match after WrestleMania. That should Randy Orton beat Kevin Owens, and I think Randy Orton will beat Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, but should that happen, Backlash is in St. Louis after WrestleMania. Randy Orton finally vocalized it, made it clear, was so respectful to Cody Rhodes, talked about watching Cody Rhodes rise up, talked about watching Cody's career, talked about how proud he is of Cody Rhodes, but then said it, finally said it. We've been watching this guy stare holes into that WWE Championship for months. And finally, Randy Orton has joined the rest of Cody Rhodes' friends by saying, like, look, Papa, we're on the same page, me and you. Love you, dude. I'm coming for that championship, and I just want you to know that. And Cody says, okay, come for it then. That's all good. That's all good. So now what you've got. Backlash is in St. Louis, okay? Randy Orton next in line, and it would only make sense that he will get the WWE Championship championship match, not necessarily championship match at Backlash in St. Louis. That would make sense. And so you go, oh, well then, yeah, John Cena's advertised for Backlash. Randy Orton's advertised for Backlash. John Cena wins the title at WrestleMania. And now he's got to face Randy Orton for the championship at Backlash. We get our John Cena versus Randy Orton match. This is too perfect. Yeah, that works perfectly. But also, as much history as there is between John Cena and Randy Orton, and as much as Randy Orton was one of the top names that people would mention when they would start making the list of who is John Cena going to wrestle during his, last year in the WWE, everybody wants to see 2025 John Cena versus 2025 Randy Orton. And that's all good, but as much history as John Cena and Randy Orton have, Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton have all this history. And with Cody Rhodes as champion, who is the name that has come up more than any other of somebody that people want to see Cody Rhodes fight for the championship? When they were talking about WrestleMania matches, what was the name that people kept mentioning as somebody that would be great for Cody Rhodes to face at WrestleMania? It was Randy Orton. People have wanted that Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton match for as long as Cody Rhodes has been champion. I mean, John Cena's reign of terror could begin at WrestleMania. He could beat Cody Rhodes, and it could be like, people fighting to get the title back from him, and they can't do it, and he's going to retire, and we're on a timeline to get that title back. But it could be just the beginning of Cena going for the title. What happens if Cody Rhodes beats John Cena, and then Cody Rhodes shows up to the SmackDown after WrestleMania, and he says, all right, Randy, you're up. You beat Kevin Owens. I beat John Cena. Now, the brilliant part of it is, let's say Cody Rhodes and John Cena are on night 2 of WrestleMania. If Randy Orton beats Kevin Owens, you could announce that Randy Orton's getting the next title shot. You won't. It wouldn't make any sense, but you could. You could know Randy Orton is getting the main event of Backlash. And it doesn't tip your hand at all as to whether it would be John Cena or Cody Rhodes that walked out of WrestleMania as champion. So let's say Cody Rhodes does beat John Cena. Let's say Cody Rhodes does show up to SmackDown and say, Randy, you're up next. You beat KO. You said you wanted a shot. I want to give it to you, and I want to give it to you in your hometown. And let's say Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship is the main event of Backlash. Well, what would happen if Cody beats Randy Orton? What would happen if at WrestleMania 41, Cody Rhodes beats John Cena? And then at Backlash 2025, Cody Rhodes beats Randy Orton. What would happen then if Randy Orton looked at John Cena and realized that maybe John Cena was right? Because what John Cena is going through right now, and what this could develop into, is this idea that he felt entitled to win 17 WWE World Championships. He felt entitled to his 17 World Championships. Except Father Time doesn't job for anybody. What if Cena's time has passed? And that's what he's struggling with. What if Randy Orton loses to Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton has to look in the mirror and say, wait a minute, am I not as dangerous as I used to be? And what if Randy Orton and John Cena at the same time together realize that they've lost their ruthless aggression? Realize that as dangerous as they once were, clearly Cody Rhodes is beating him. What if, after Backlash, Randy Orton and John Cena are on the same page? And what if, coming off of Backlash in May, going into the summer, Cody Rhodes has to deal with a heel John Cena and a heel Randy Orton, both out for blood and everything that he holds dear? What if? It could be a lot of fun. It could be great. Speaking of great, the ending of SmackDown was great. The contract signing, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. Now, we did the whole emergency podcast about it, so catch up on that. If you haven't watched it or listened to it yet, make sure right after today's pod, that's the next thing that you watch or listen to. But we hit the emergency podcast because of all the feelings that it gave us. And you know, the headline, I think what we learned the most is that the triple threat is closing WrestleMania. That Paul Heyman, in a very real moment, announced to CM Punk that what he wants in the contract is in the contract. CM Punk is going to main event WrestleMania. Now, low key, if you're counting WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2 as both main events, and we've been doing this since WrestleMania was 2 nights, so I don't want to hear, everybody, no, the only main event is Night 2. Well, I mean, forever. Since, I guess, 36, when 2 nights started. They've been counting both nights as having main events, so I'm counting both nights as having main events. And while, yes, CM Punk is finally getting his first WrestleMania main event, Roman Reigns has main evented. Yeah, that's right. Roman Reigns has main evented WrestleMania 31, 32, 33, 34, 37, 38, 39, 40, night 1, 40, night 2. WrestleMania 41 will be Roman Reigns' 10th WrestleMania main event. And even if you count WrestleMania 9, Hogan does not have 10 WrestleMania main events. John Cena does not have 10 WrestleMania main events. Roman Reigns will have 10 WrestleMania main events at WrestleMania 41. So, we get CM Punk's dream coming true. We get Roman Reigns doing the impossible. We see Seth Rollins realizing, no, that as hard as he was fighting for CM Punk to not main event WrestleMania, it's the only thing that he wanted this year was for CM Punk to not main event WrestleMania, that not in spite of, but because Seth Rollins fought so hard for CM Punk to not main event WrestleMania, CM Punk is main eventing WrestleMania. That Seth Rollins trying to stop CM Punk was actually what led CM Punk to a main event of WrestleMania. We realize as we're watching that Paul Heyman tipped off Roman Reigns to the fact that he was putting the main event clause of the contract, the main event clause in the contract. That Roman Reigns was aware of what Paul Heyman had put in the contract. Roman Reigns was smiling when Paul Heyman embraced CM Punk and informed him he'd be main eventing WrestleMania. Roman Reigns said, one man's wish is another man's favor, which was right there telling us, as far as he was concerned, this was the favor that Paul Heyman owed CM Punk. But unfortunately for Roman Reigns, I think Roman Reigns, we have been making comparisons to the relationship that Paul Heyman has with Roman Reigns and that Paul Heyman has with CM Punk, like one that one might have with a significant other, because it's an intimate relationship. And sometimes you go to your significant other, you know what? You can go hug your ex. Go say goodbye to your ex. Put a bow on it. It's okay with me. That's fine. But Roman Reigns was hit with the reality that he thought he was being cool. And that Paul Heyman just needed to go do one last thing for CM Punk, say goodbye to CM Punk, and Roman Reigns is secure. Roman Reigns is cool with that. What he didn't realize is that instead of saying goodbye, CM Punk and Paul Heyman may have rekindled something right under the nose of the tribal chief, and there is nobody that takes betrayal worse than Roman Reigns. It has literally surrounded him his entire career. He trusts very few, but when he finally does let his guard down and trust somebody, very often they stab him in the back, at least from his own perspective. And this is what he's worried about, because when CM Punk goes down on his knee to thank the tribal chief for providing him an opportunity to fulfill his dream and main event WrestleMania, CM Punk does two things. Number one, he calls him Big Dog. And we know Roman Reigns does not like being called Big Dog. Roman Reigns does not feel like the Big Dog era ever existed. Roman Reigns was born at SummerSlam 2020 when he started to stack people, when he started to lay people out, when he became, a week after the WWE champion and held it for 1,003, the WWE Universal champion and held it for 1,316 days. That's when Roman Reigns was born, a week before he won the championship. So not only did CM Punk call him Big Dog, but he also said, that's not the favor I'm owed. And Roman was furious, staring daggers into Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman said, oh, no, 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 like he just didn't want it to come up, and we fade to black. So I asked you, I said, put it in the comments on the Emergency Podcast. What is the favor? Now, you talk about a long play. You talk about a payoff. This favor was clearly not something they just threw in at the last minute to the War Games match. This favor, and it really does tell you what's going on. The fact that this favor is clearly something that has played its way through War Games to WrestleMania very, very intentionally, which means that theoretically this match in some way, shape, or form had to at least be the kernel of an idea going all the way back to War Games, if not before. So you'd have to imagine that this is the sort of design that the creative process has in the WWE right now, that this is the advanced thinking that's going on, because otherwise, it's very convenient that this favor is in play. But I asked you guys, what do you think the favor is? So I was reading the comments, and a lot of people are talking. And there are some that say the favor is that the winner will get a shot at the championship. The real favor is not that it's the main event, it's that it becomes a championship match. There are some that believe that we will find out that the winner of this triple threat goes on to Backlash to face the winner of the Gunther Jey Uso match. And that's the favor. All right. That's what you think. There are some that said in the comments that the winner of the match would get a WWE championship match. That this triple threat, because while we know it is going on last, while we know it is the main event of WrestleMania, what we don't know is whether it will go on last on Saturday or on Sunday. So the speculation, what I was reading in the comments, is that this will be the last match on Saturday, and the winner of this triple threat will go on to the main event of Sunday night and will make Cody versus Cena into a triple threat, so that they will, the same WrestleMania weekend, get a shot at Cody's WWE Undisputed Championship. Okay, if you think that, but look, there are a few things here. Number one, as far as that one goes, the Cody-Cena match, I don't see how it benefits from being made into a triple threat. The idea that we're 3 weeks into Cody and John Cena having one-on-one confrontations on Monday Night Raw. Do we really think that we just need to add a random third to this? Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk have had literally no interaction with Cody and John Cena. As a matter of fact, CM Punk lost to John Cena in the Elimination Chamber, and he blames Seth Rollins for it. At no point has he said, I'm so mad at John Cena. That first night, I guess, that he cut the promo on top of the commentary table and started trashing The Rock and John Cena, sure. But other than that, he blames Seth Rollins for losing at the Elimination Chamber. So why would he care about John Cena that night or the next night on Sunday? Roman Reigns hasn't said a lick about Cody Rhodes as far as WrestleMania goes, or about John Cena as far as WrestleMania goes. And Seth Rollins hasn't even been trying to get into the main event. All he's been trying to do is stop CM Punk from getting to the main event. Seth Rollins wasn't trying to win the Royal Rumble. He was trying to make sure that CM Punk did not win the Royal Rumble. Seth Rollins wasn't trying to win the Elimination Chamber. He was simply trying to make sure that CM Punk did not win the Elimination Chamber. Second, and this now includes both the WWE and World Heavyweight Championship, if this is the favor, then this is something that is sacred to CM Punk. From the beginning, from the night after, or whatever it was, from after the Drew McIntyre rivalry, before the WrestleMania sign was put up there, CM Punk was pointing at where the sign would be. CM Punk said he had to win the Royal Rumble. Then he said he had to win the Elimination Chamber. And it was not because he wanted to win the championship at WrestleMania. He never said he wanted to win the championship. He said he wanted to main event WrestleMania. CM Punk has done it all at WrestleMania. CM Punk has defended the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. CM Punk has fought The Undertaker at WrestleMania. CM Punk has won the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. The one thing he hasn't done is main event WrestleMania. CM Punk can get a title match. And secondly, why would Paul Heyman need to keep that a secret from Roman Reigns? Clearly, the real secret was kept a secret, or the real favor was kept a secret from Roman Reigns. Why couldn't Heyman just go, yeah, it's going to main event Mania and the winner gets a title shot? Oh, great. Roman Reigns is going into the triple threat thinking he's going to win. If the winner of this triple threat gets a title shot, that's not something Paul Heyman needs to be ashamed of. If my agent put me in the main event of WrestleMania, and he said, by the way, I also got a clause in the contract that the winner will get a shot at the WWE or the World Championship, I wouldn't sit there and go, who are you working for? I'd go, oh, that's great. Thank you. You did that for me. Thank you. I'm going to win, so that's fantastic. That doesn't work for me as the secret, as the favor. To me, I think my prediction remains what it's been for weeks and weeks and weeks. I think that Paul Heyman came to CM Punk in November of last year and said, I need you in the War Games. I need you to help the bloodline. It started with Paul Heyman going to Roman Reigns and saying, the one thing that I need is for you to make sure the bloodline doesn't put a hand on CM Punk. That was made very, very clear right after WrestleMania last year. Paul Heyman told Solo that Roman Reigns' two edicts were to put Cody Rhodes in check, not checkmate, but check, and as a favor to the wise man, do not put a hand on CM Punk. So it starts with that, and then Paul Heyman goes, look, I need a favor from you at the War Games. I need you to be the one to come and save the bloodline. I need you to be the one to be on the bloodline team because we're outnumbered against this new bloodline. And I believe CM Punk said, okay, I'll do that. However, there will come a time where I need a favor in return. I believe that CM Punk made a Godfather-esque arrangement with Paul Heyman to let Paul Heyman know that as the original Paul Heyman guy, that at some point, CM Punk was going to require the guidance of his wise man, of Paul Heyman, and that CM Punk was going to reserve the right to call on Paul Heyman to be his corner man when he needed him. And I believe that CM Punk is going to decide that WrestleMania in this triple threat is when he needs Paul Heyman to be his corner man. That the favor will be that Paul Heyman is in the corner of CM Punk in this triple threat match with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And you know, you've got your people out there that are saying like, well, there's no stakes. As if the only stakes that a wrestling match can have are either a championship or the winner gets a championship match. This thing is brimming with stakes. It's nothing but stakes. The stakes are between Seth Rollins and CM Punk, between CM Punk and Roman Reigns, between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. They're all over the place. Stakes on stakes on stakes. It's a stake house in this triple threat. I mean, it's nuts. So I think that Paul Heyman is going to have to be in the corner of CM Punk. And there's a million things that could happen here, right? And it's going to be like, what are you coming off of WrestleMania with? Maybe Paul Heyman will turn on CM Punk and will side with Roman Reigns because the watching Roman Reigns on SmackDown, it feels like there's an acknowledgement that Roman as a babyface was inevitable. And there was no getting around the fact that he was a babyface coming back at SummerSlam last year. And that's why he spent all of his appearances last year as a babyface. The New Bloodline were heels, so War Games, he was a babyface. Bad Blood, he teamed with Cody Rhodes, he is a babyface. Even Netflix, when he's fighting Solo Sikoa for the Tribal Chief, he's a babyface. And yes, they're still chanting, Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns. I loved it. But he was acting more like his old Tribal Chief self. I think there's a good possibility. I think there is a bigger possibility that Paul Heyman is going to turn on CM Punk than there is that Paul Heyman is going to turn on Roman Reigns. I think that based on where we're at right now, if the move is to go to Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, that CM Punk is the babyface. I mean, Roman Reigns is the establishment. Roman Reigns is the guy with 10 WrestleMania main events. Roman Reigns is the unconquerable. The idea that Roman Reigns would be the babyface fighting beneath against CM Punk, it doesn't make any sense. And I think then either the heel, like if Paul Heyman turns on CM Punk, now CM Punk is looking for revenge against Roman Reigns. We can get some pipe bombs with CM Punk talking smack on Roman Reigns. And CM Punk, win or lose, CM Punk, Paul Heyman, and Roman Reigns are all good. If Punk becomes a heel and is managed by Paul Heyman, now he's wrestling Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is a babyface, has to win. If Roman Reigns is a babyface and CM Punk is a heel, and CM Punk beats Roman Reigns' career is over. I mean, there's nothing else for Roman Reigns to do. So he would have to beat CM Punk. And if Roman Reigns beats CM Punk, unless they do some cockamamie thing where Paul Heyman turns on CM Punk to go back to his tribal chief, it's like you got nothing left to do with Paul Heyman after that. If Paul Heyman turns on Roman Reigns and Roman Reigns beats CM Punk with Paul Heyman in the corner of Punk, what are you doing with Paul Heyman after that? So the only way to do this without sacrificing people is to have Paul Heyman, if he's going to turn on anybody, turn on Punk. Now, what you could do, because with Paul Heyman in the corner, there's multiple options. Paul Heyman could turn on CM Punk and Roman Reigns and side with Seth Rollins. It wouldn't make any sense. Seth Rollins is not a Paul Heyman guy. And then I can't imagine. Then Seth Rollins is a great heel, but Punk and Roman Reigns as babyfaces are both beating him. I don't know why you'd take your two most powerful guys and make them two babyfaces against this one heel, but whatever. I think the other thing that you could do is you could have, because the dynamic shifts when Heyman is in Punk's corner. Heyman's whole dynamic shifts between those two, right? And you saw it even at the press conference. At the contract signing. Like, Paul Heyman is there to be a mentor to CM Punk. CM Punk listens to Paul Heyman. CM Punk is a Paul Heyman guy. Roman Reigns is not there to, listen to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is there to serve Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman is there to serve at the feet of his tribal chief, not to smarten him up to what's really going on. Like I've said before, CM Punk is a Paul Heyman guy, but Paul Heyman is a Roman Reigns guy. That's the relationship there. That's the dynamic. If Punk wins with Heyman, Roman's on the warpath. And I don't think it's good for Punk or Heyman. If Seth wins somehow and Heyman is with Punk, if Seth pins Punk, then I think you've got a little bit more of an interesting dynamic, because there is a way in which Paul Heyman is in CM Punk's corner, and we think that this is going to lead to friction between Roman Reigns and CM Punk. But Seth Rollins is in this match. If Seth Rollins wins the match, especially if he pins CM Punk, maybe the friction isn't with Roman Reigns and CM Punk. And if Seth Rollins is able to win that match and able to go on from that, then maybe a dangerous alliance would have to be formed between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Maybe. Who's to say? We'll see. A lot of possibilities at WrestleMania. A lot of possibilities, and people were talking about these possibilities. With the news that the triple threat is going to close one of the nights of WrestleMania, a lot of people are assuming that the triple threat closes Saturday and Cena and Cody closes Sunday. And I think that that's a safe bet. I think a good guy, Cody Rhodes, and a bad guy, John Cena, is about as big a WrestleMania main event as you could possibly get. But what that means is that Jey Uso is out of luck. That we are not yeeting in the last match of WrestleMania, regardless of the Royal Rumble win, regardless of anything. That the way things are set up, most are assuming that that's not happening. Now, we haven't been specifically told that Cena and Cody are going to close WrestleMania, but it's hard to believe that they wouldn't. You know, for argument's sake, there is a world where Cody Rhodes and John Cena do not close WrestleMania. You know, and there's two reasons that could happen. Number one, if Cody beats John Cena, you could have Cody beat John Cena in the opening match of WrestleMania Night 2. You could. You could also, if John Cena is going to beat Cody Rhodes, and it's a sad thing, it's the bad guy's going to win, maybe that's not going to main event. Maybe that's not going to be the last match. Ultimately, it doesn't hurt the match. When you go back and you look at The Rock versus Hulk Hogan, of course that should have gone on last. But there's not one part of that match that is negatively affected by it not going on last. Not one. Nothing about that match's legacy is affected by the fact that it didn't go on last. We're going to talk about Bret Hart versus Steve Austin in a minute. In hindsight, sure, that match should have gone on last at WrestleMania 13. It was the only match worth anything on that show. But it didn't. However, when you look at the match, it doesn't affect the legacy of it at all. If you don't want to end on a down note, maybe that match doesn't go on last. I mean, can you imagine if Cena and Cody doesn't go on last? There is a world where I would love to see it. You want to create the biggest sink or swim moment for Jey Uso. You want to create the biggest potential moment where this is either going to go horribly wrong or horribly right. You could close with with Gunther and Jey. You're either, for putting that match on last, you're either going to be a genius or an idiot in the eyes of the people, and you won't know until the match is over. But what city better than Las Vegas to take a gamble like that? Look, I'm out of pocket now. Okay, I know it's unlikely, but it would be a lot of fun if that did happen. You know, it's been a really interesting build for Jey Uso because since the Royal Rumble, the anti-Jey Uso vitriol has only grown and grown and grown on the internet as they grown and grown and grown. Now, none of it has touched an arena. None of it. Jey Uso still gets the biggest reactions. Jey Uso sells the most merch. There's yeet signs everywhere. Not one bit of it has touched the arena, but it's growing on the internet. And you see it in YouTube comment sections and the likes and dislikes. You see it on Reddit. You see it on Twitter. You see it everywhere. I mean, it's even coming up, right? You know, 2 weeks ago on Raw, Jey Uso misses that dive. Everybody calls it out. They have him slip on Raw last week. We had a great interview with Jey Uso on the Raw Recap podcast, which if you're not listening or watching to that Raw Recap podcast, it's unbelievable that it's a WWE product. It is so similar to how I conduct Notsam Wrestling. It's strange that it's allowed on WWE airwaves, but we interviewed Jey Uso, and it was not a restrictive interview whatsoever. I asked him about, along with Megan Moran, we asked him about the negative comments that he's getting on the internet. I asked him about the idea that the bloodline, could that actually be a Jey Uso story, with this being the climax of that story? And he had a great response to it. I think this match started as Jey Uso fighting the most difficult opponent he's ever had, which is Gunther. Gunther has beaten him 3 times. There is no opponent more difficult than Gunther. However, this match has evolved into something else. And Jey Uso at WrestleMania is fighting an opponent far more difficult to beat than Gunther, and that is the public. Jey Uso somehow, as somebody who for the last year has been nothing but a fan favorite, has been nothing but the guy that people want more for, somehow in the last 2 months especially on the internet, it's become something else. And WrestleMania has become a place where Jey Uso doesn't have to beat Gunther. Jey Uso has to prove to fans that he belongs in the world title match at WrestleMania. That is the battle for Jey Uso. It has become a very real fight. It is no longer about will he beat Gunther or will he not beat Gunther. It is about will people leave saying he belonged in that match at WrestleMania. That's what this match is about now. In real life, in storyline, in everything. That's what this match has become. And because this match has become, Jey, prove it. Prove it to yourself. Prove it to the audience. Prove it to the office. Prove it to Gunther. Because the audience is slowly taking the side of Gunther. It's become a much bigger match to me. If you look at it from a 360 perspective, this match has become immensely bigger and far more main event worthy than it was the night after the Royal Rumble, in my opinion. Because Jey never had this before. Jey never had this back up against the wall. Jey's fights were always storyline fights. The audience was always with him, and Jey had to fight these storyline bad guys. Now, it's become a real thing. For some reason, the audience has decided, no, we're going to ride with you. At SummerSlam, we want you to beat Roman Reigns. Jey Uso should be the one to beat Roman Reigns. He didn't do it. Every time he fights Gunther, Jey Uso should win the Intercontinental title from Gunther. Didn't happen. Jey Uso should beat Gunther in this King of the Ring qualifier. Didn't happen. Jey Uso should win the World Championship at Saturday night's main event. Didn't happen. And now it's like all of that didn't happen so that WrestleMania could happen. And when we get here, a huge portion of the audience says, I'm not sure. I don't know if I want that anymore. I don't know if he belongs in that spot. I see it everywhere. I couldn't imagine being Jey Uso. Even the people that are like, no, I think it's going to be great when Jey Uso wins the world title. But Jey Uso is champion? Come on. He's going to run out of steam. Oh, it's fun. The dance, the entrance. It's all an entrance. That's it. And I'm going, okay. I feel like Jey Uso has done the impossible already. I feel like Jey Uso has gone from being not only a tag team wrestler, but a twin tag team wrestler to a main event singles star who little kids say is their favorite wrestler. Nobody had him pegged for that role. He was never signed to the WWE so that one day he could be a main event guy. He was never signed to the WWE so that he could win the Royal Rumble one day, but it happened. It happened. And now I think there's a beauty in it. I think there's a beauty in the acknowledgement of it. That Jey Uso could win or lose at WrestleMania, and it is up to him. The performance is going to dictate it. And it's real life now. It's not about winning or losing to Gunther. Whether he beats Gunther or he doesn't beat Gunther, it's going to be about the audience saying that should have been the title match at WrestleMania or that shouldn't have been the title match at WrestleMania. And that's the battle that Jey Uso is in right now. And we are inching closer and closer to acknowledging it full throttle on television. And it basically is being acknowledged. With the you're not yourself. Jey Uso, when he was on the Raw Recap podcast, is talking about the fact that like he's bringing up the moves that people say he doesn't do. He's bringing up the in-ring stuff. But he's saying ultimately at the end of the day, there's a reason why buildings shake when I enter them. There's a reason why I'm at where I'm at. And the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of people who do a lot of moves that cannot shake a building. That cannot put people on their feet, that cannot have everybody in the audience wearing a t-shirt that says Yeet on it. Grown-ass men wearing Yeet t-shirts. You can't take that for granted. And so now it's on Jey Uso. Not storyline to beat Gunther, but in real life to go to WrestleMania and prove that he's the man. I'm rooting for it to happen. I want it to happen. We have gotten to a WrestleMania where we've got a real life story going in. And you know, I love the fact that Gunther is the opponent, because if you want to get a wrestler that can kind of in ring be the metaphor for the obstacle that Jey Uso is against, Jey Uso is fighting public perception. And who better as a metaphor for the massive, unbeatable force that is public perception than Gunther, the ring general? Because all of a sudden, everything that heel is saying is being echoed in different pockets of the internet. And you can say all you want, well, that's just the internet. The arena is real life. That's not true. You know that's not true. The arena is real life, but the internet is also real life. And the internet bleeds into the arena. All you have to do is go to the wrong city and have the wrong thing happen in the wrong city. And everybody catches wind because everybody's watching. Ask Roman Reigns what happens when you win a Royal Rumble in Philadelphia. Everyone is watching. There are not separate pockets of the audience. Once those pockets get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, people get smart to it. They realize it. And even if they don't agree with it sometimes, they go, okay, this is the way the wave's going. Jey Uso has to stop that wave. The wave against Jey Uso is building. That wave is what Jey Uso is fighting at WrestleMania. And what are we, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever we are away from WrestleMania? That's exactly the amount of time that Jey has to stop that wave from coming to shore and washing everything away. Because the reality is, this is the biggest opportunity that Jey has ever had, but also, if it doesn't work, I don't know what he does next. That's the most, how could a story be more compelling? How could a story possibly be more compelling than that? I absolutely love it. When you talk about compelling stories, it was announced, Hall of Fame announcements going out. Triple H is going in. Michelle McCool's going in. Lex Luger's going in. The Natural Disasters announced to go in. And they announced for the first time that there's going to be an Immortal Moments category, which is allowing a match to be put into the Hall of Fame. And I think this is a great idea. I love that it's called Immortal Moments because it doesn't limit it to just matches specifically. But I think more often than not, the match is what creates the moment. It also is a fantastic way to get headliners to come back to the Hall of Fame. Once you put Bret Hart in the Hall of Fame and the Hart Foundation in the Hall of Fame, how do you get Bret Hart back to the Hall of Fame building? Once you've put Stone Cold Steve Austin in the Hall of Fame, how do you get Stone Cold Steve Austin to come back to the Hall of Fame building? And when I say building, I mean the building that the Hall of Fame is taking place in that year. You want people to buy tickets. They're going to buy a ticket to see Stone Cold Steve Austin speak. They're going to buy a ticket to see Bret the Hitman Hart speak. So what do? The Immortal Moments. As far as matches to go into the Hall of Fame, it's hard to argue that this WrestleMania 13 match should not go in. This WrestleMania 13 match is an absolute work of art. It is, some matches are time capsules. This match is absolutely timeless. You could do this match bar for bar, word for word right now, and it would resonate just as, if not harder, than it resonated in 1996 at WrestleMania 13. 1997 at WrestleMania 13. I mean, it's an unbelievable match. It's the submission match at WrestleMania 13 between Bret the Hitman Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And this match is built to, so after Bret Hart had been the babyface of all babyfaces, and he leaves after WrestleMania 12, he comes back at Survivor Series 1996. He has this amazing match with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin is just starting to build up, And I think he turned a lot of heads at Survivor Series 96 because that match is an underrated classic. But throughout the end of 96, beginning of 97, there was something brewing with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And WrestleMania was where you had, and there was also something brewing with Bret the Hitman Hart, where fans were starting to, a bitterness was brewing with Bret the Hitman Hart, where he didn't necessarily like the fact that the WWE was changing. He didn't necessarily like the fact that Shawn Michaels was the top guy. Like, all this stuff was happening, and it was real life, but it was storyline as well. And so you get this submission match. And on paper, already, if you're really analyzing it, the match is built to favor the babyface, which is not how you build a match. Bret Hart is not fighting from underneath. So already, you've got the perfect match to do a switcheroo. Stone Cold Steve Austin doesn't have any submission moves. So he's going in, he's the one who's going in fighting from beneath. And when you see this guy fight and scratch and claw, you cannot help but root for him. When Bret Hart puts him in that sharpshooter and there is blood pouring down the face of Stone Cold Steve Austin, this is after Bret Hart has done unnecessary things like put that figure four leg lock with Stone Cold Steve Austin's legs wrapped around the post of the ring. And Ken Shamrock is in the ring as the guest referee. And he's asking, do you quit? Do you quit? And Stone Cold Steve Austin passes out. And Bret the Hitman Hart wins because Stone Cold Steve Austin is unconscious. But we've gained a new respect for Stone Cold in that moment. And all of a sudden, Bret starts, and throughout the match, we've been like, why is Bret Hart fighting so dirty? This is his match. Until Bret Hart attacks him after the match. And all of a sudden, this character that's been built on honor, that's been built on respect, that's been built on all of this, all of a sudden, we're now realizing, oh, he's not the guy we thought he was. And we leave this match booing Bret the Hitman Hart and cheering Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it put them both on the trajectory that they needed to be on. It sent Bret Hart towards being a heel, towards the building of the Hart Foundation, towards the summer of 1997. It sent Stone Cold Steve Austin on a rocket ship that would culminate in March of 1998 when he won the WWE Championship from Shawn Michaels. So I love that this is going into the Hall of Fame. It quickly got me thinking, what other moments could get into the Hall of Fame? Now look, one day, I'm not ready for it now, but I believe time will be kind to this. Things are moving so quickly now. But I will never forget, when we're just talking about moments, every Royal Rumble pay-per-view PLE, the Royal Rumble is the last match. The Royal Rumble is the match. The person winning the Royal Rumble is the moment that people are buying a ticket for. Except in 2023. Roman Reigns being turned on by Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn turning on Roman Reigns at the end of the Royal Rumble 2023 PLE, to me, one day, is going to be an immortal moment. I think you got to put Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn in the Hall of Fame just for that moment, if you're putting people in the Hall of Fame, eventually. But right now, like in the next 5 years, if they do one of these every year, here are five immortal moment awards that I would feel comfortable with giving right now to these matches. Number one, and they don't have to be the greatest match. They just have to be immortal moments. Number one is Mick Foley and The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell. That match changed wrestling, changed The Undertaker, changed mankind, is still a match that people go back and watch. They just did a Dark Side of the Ring about it because people are so fascinated by that match. Is the match that people put on when you go, oh, you want to say it's fake? Does this look fake? It's everything, that match. The whole Beyond the Mat documentary. That's what the whole thing is based on. The Hell in a Cell. It's unbelievable. To me, it changed wrestling forever, and that's what immortal moments should be. Moments that live forever, moments that changed everything. I would put, as I discussed earlier, Rock and Hogan at WrestleMania 18 on the Immortal Moments Hall of Fame list. There's a lot of immortal moments for the immortal Hulk Hogan, but I would get the Rock and Hogan back in there, give them each a ring. I mean, Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, some of these guys, Stone Cold Steve Austin could probably walk out looking like Brady with rings on every finger. Michael Jordan six-peating. I would put Savage and Steamboat WrestleMania 3 on that list. Like Hogan and Andre probably, but for me, Randy Savage versus Ricky Steamboat WrestleMania 3, it was the WWE's first exposure to that type of in-ring work. It was a match that WWE fans still to this day talk about. It's the prototypical, well, we're not in the main event, so let's have a Savage Steamboat match at WrestleMania. It was the match. It defines the Intercontinental Championship to me. Savage and Steamboat, WrestleMania 3. Going back to WrestleMania again, I would put Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, WrestleMania 10 ladder match on that list. The reason ladder matches are what they are today is because of what that match was at WrestleMania. I mean, it's a forever match. You can go back and watch it again. Everybody remembers where they were when they watched it the first time. It's a forever. And then, because we're talking about moments, I think Hogan, Nash, and Hall deserve an immortal moment Hall of Fame ring for Bash at the Beach 96. And I'm not saying, if you want to throw Luger and Sting and Savage, I guess, but it's not for the match. It's for what happened after the match and what it did for wrestling. It was a truly immortal moment. So yeah, those are some of my immortal moments. Look, we're running low on time. I want to give a lot of props to Naomi and the promo that she cut on SmackDown. That pre-tape promo from Naomi was absolutely awesome. I love where she's coming from. I love how she justifies it. I think we're cooking with what should be a WrestleMania match, and I hope it is. I got a whole list. There was other stuff I wanted to do, a whole list of potential WrestleMania matches. We'll have to get to it next week because I also want to talk about this Lucha invasion that's incoming. Not only do you have Rey Fenix apparently debuting on SmackDown next week, but this Grande Americano luchador from the Gulf of America, this guy is phenomenal. I don't know how he slipped under my radar, but he did. If you know anything about him, email in. NotSamWrestling@gmail.com. NotSamWrestling@gmail.com. I'm going to start earlier in the week this time. I feel like so often we just read the latest emails, and some of them aren't that great. So let's mix it up. Big Ray wrote in. Does it seem like the WWE got scared or at least didn't realize how big Jacob Fatu would be and put the brakes on all gas Jacob Fatu? You talking about Fatu? He was getting huge pops, put in big matches, and was really getting over. And now it seems like they're pumping the brakes a bit and slowing his progress. The new Bloodline story is dead, and these guys are kind of wandering around. Well, I would argue they're not at all wandering around. If you're watching the product, clearly there's a story being built between Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Clearly what's next for Jacob is being built right now. Jacob Fatu had to be who he was so that the new Bloodline was a legitimate threat against Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns against Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa, nobody was worried about that. You could have done 3-on-1 based on how they were portrayed on television. Nobody was worried about that. Jacob Fatu coming in, I think the reason he was presented as he was presented was to be that guy who could fuel them in this war with Roman Reigns. Now that that's done, because Roman Reigns got the Ulafala back, now we have to figure out what's going on with these members of the new Bloodline. I think you've clearly got something cooking between Solo and Jacob. I think that if they see, I think that you also have to realize that yeah, we could, this is hot now, so let's get it on the WrestleMania show. Okay, but there are bigger matches on WrestleMania. If we pump the brakes on this a little bit and do it at Backlash instead, this becomes the biggest match on Backlash, or this becomes the second biggest match on Backlash, or whatever it is. So I think that comes into play too. But I also think they like to take their time and tell a lot of these stories now. And that's what we're seeing with what's chipping away between Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. But we're every single week on SmackDown, it's progressing. So I think that's what we're seeing. And what we want to see is not, oh, they're cheering for him now, let's put Jacob out there in the main event. A story that we can follow that gets us there. Now, look, you can take missteps when you tell stories like this. Here's the thing about long-term storytelling. We wanted it for so long because when it is pulled off right, it is so rich. But sometimes people lose their patience. Sometimes people want something now and they don't want to wait. So we'll see. But I think I don't think that the brakes were put on Jacob as much as there's deliberate story elements taking place. Mason writes in, thanks for reading and answering my last question. Love the show. I'd like to get your take on Royal Rumble winners and their potential placements on the WrestleMania card. I think we kind of discussed that a little. I mean, Charlotte and Tiffany, I don't think it'll main event, but, it'll be on the card somewhere. Matt writes in, good morning, my OTC of podcasting. That's right. Hope all is well. Fatu. After listening to your podcast and talking about baby faces being as big as Cody, and he's the biggest since Hulkamania, what about Daniel Bryan's yes movement? That was very popular. And he had everyone behind him as he was facing the Authority. Just a thought. I wanted to get your thoughts on. No. I think that's legit. Daniel Bryan was an absolutely pure babyface, and everybody wanted him to win at WrestleMania 30. And what happened after WrestleMania 30? That's all. I mean, that's all you have to say, you know? I mean, I love Daniel Bryan. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But when you're talking about baby faces that were the number one guy, the guy in the company, carrying the company, Daniel Bryan did not get the opportunity to do that. Is that Bryan's fault? No. I don't know. You know, I mean, now we're having a different conversation, but that was a story. That was one story. That was Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, and we had our moment. Daniel Bryan winning the world title at WrestleMania 30 is one of my favorite moments in WWE WrestleMania history, however you want to phrase it. But he didn't then go on to carry the company for 2 years. Cody Rhodes has been the top babyface for, I would argue, 3 years in WWE. Coming in at 38, from 38 to 39, he was the top babyface. From 39 to 40, he was the top babyface. From 40 to 41, he's the top babyface. I mean, you know, it's 3 years, a 3-year run as the guy as a pure babyface. These are long. I'm skipping them. Chris writes in, good morning. Reaching out to the OTP. No, it's OPTC for your thoughts. Original Tribal Podcast Chief. No, it's Original Podcast Tribal Chief. Most of the fans I know, including myself, thought Austin would show up to ruin The Rock's plans at WrestleMania last year. Taker was fun, but I wanted to hear the glass break. Okay. This year, the speculation is swirling again, but I think we're in for a swerve. What if we get ref down, Cody down, Rock attacking, the glass breaks, Stone Cold dumps Rocky out. Cody gets up only to catch a stunner. The Rock gets the ref up, Cena pins Cody. Mania end with Cody sitting on the ramp watching Austin, Rock, and Cena drinking beers. See, the problem is nobody's booing that. Like, now, that just feels like, it's also a very silly nostalgia trip. Like, why would Austin do that? You're saying Austin sold his soul to The Rock as well? Austin hates that he turned heel at WrestleMania 17. I can't imagine that he'd want to repeat it at WrestleMania 41. And also, that's 3 different eras. Or 2 different eras, I guess. Austin and Rock and Cena are not the same era. If Cena and Randy Orton ended up on the same team, I would get that. But no, I mean, that's just like, you want that moment. It's going to make, I think it would make Cody look terrible because people would enjoy that. Patrick writes in, first thing I got to say is you are on a Michael Cole level of being GOAT when it comes to breaking down professional wrestling and content. Let's go. Okay, thank you. No question. Appreciate that. Brandon writes in, please rank these 3 potential matches you think would be best and why. Jade Cargill versus Bianca. Jacob Fatu versus Braun Breaker. Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. I mean, I don't know. They'd all be great. It depends on the story that you tell going in, you know. I think they all have potential to be awesome. It would depend on the story. Lucha writes in, at first you speculated that Roman was going to win then to Seth, what if CM Punk wins with Paul in his corner and goes on to challenge Cena with the title at SummerSlam? There are months between, I can't stand it when people fantasy book like this. When they go, CM Punk wins at WrestleMania and then he challenges John Cena at SummerSlam. Cool. What's happening in May, June, and July? You just got me from April to August. What are we doing from May, June, July? Like, get me there. Get me there. Don't just say stuff. Why would CM Punk go, I just won. I'm going to fight you in August. Why wouldn't he say, I want to fight you ASAP? Martin writes in, I'm putting it out in the universe. I would love WrestleMania 41 to end with John Cena beating Cody with the 5-knuckle shuffle with brass knuckles. My question is, what are the odds of John Cena actually doing this brass knuckles finisher this year? It's not a finisher. It's a setup move. To end with a 5-knuckle shuffle? I mean, you either got to do an AA or an STFU. You can't do a 5-knuckle shuffle to end the match. Maybe he puts on brass knuckles, does the shuffle, and Cody kicks out. Avik writes in, how do you envision Cena's WrestleMania entrance this year? I think his music plays and he walks to the ring and that's it. Like, I think that's it. Maybe a montage, like a video coming out of like all the instances that he was booed. Maybe that. Maybe I would do that. Make a video of like all the big moments that John Cena was booed for, even though he was the good guy. And then his music hits and it reminds everyone to boo. That's probably what I would do. I would find like whether it's introducing the title, whether it's getting booed at Royal Rumbles, getting booed at WrestleManias, like the top times John Cena has gotten booed. I would make a full video of that, like a minute and a half long of John Cena just having to, and maybe like splice in like interviews where they're asking him about fans booing him, interviews about him turning heel, like all these moments where you're basically telling the story that he's been telling you through the reactions that fans have had. And then his music hits and he will immediately get booed by 50,000 people in Las Vegas. That's the way I would do his entrance. Wow, I do entrances too. I'm the man. Let's go to, we're only going to do a couple more. Let's go to Mitch. My thoughts are that WWE is doing a great job of making little mistakes on the road to WrestleMania build into storylines. Okay. First with Jey's botch turning into a confidence issue and followed up with Tiffany. Yeah, going all 8 Mile on Charlotte. Yeah, I like that too. I love good email. I love that they're acknowledging what's happening. This is what I mean when I say everything counts. It doesn't mean that you have to look into absolutely everything that WWE does. It means that everything is possible. Everything is potential material to draw from. And if something doesn't go well, it still counts. That if the internet is turning on Jey Uso, let's tell the story of Jey Uso losing his confidence. That if the internet is talking about the fact that Charlotte Flair way got the better of Tiffany Stratton in that back and forth on SmackDown, then let's have Tiffany Stratton say, you're not going to let the rookie get a word in edgewise. That basically what Tiffany did on SmackDown was say that Charlotte's burying her. Without saying it, Tiffany basically said Charlotte's burying her and acting in an unprofessional way. And that's where the line gets blurred between storyline and real life. And that's where the money is, baby. That's where the magic happens. Yeah, I think that's a great thing to point out. I think that's great. Toby writes in, I want to start by acknowledging you. Yeah. On SmackDown, did you see when Roman was telling Punk to acknowledge him? You can clearly see Heyman say, don't, under his breath 3 times. Everything counts. By the way, I live in St. Louis, and we absolutely need Notsam Wrestling Live for Backlash. Oh, I would love to be there. I did see that. And like him going, no. If you go back and you watch the contract signing, and the only thing you pay attention to is Paul Heyman's face throughout, it's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. I would recommend everybody go back and just watch that contract signing just to see the way Paul Heyman reacts to everybody. See the way his face reacts when Seth Rollins gets introduced. Oh, he's got this scowl on his face. See the way like he reacts when Roman Reigns says, I want to be thank you. I want to thank you. And Paul Heyman's going, no. See the way he reacts when CM Punk says, but that's not the favor. See the way he reacts for all of it. It is absolutely awesome. Hey, I hope to see you guys out in Las Vegas Thursday before WrestleMania. That's April 17th. We are doing a live Notsam Wrestling podcast from the Las Vegas Comedy Cellar. Thursday, 5 p.m. local time. Get your tickets. They're available at notsam.com. They're also available on Ticketmaster. So pick them all up now. They're going quickly. Make sure that you're there. It is going to be an absolutely epic show. Make sure that you're listening to or watching Raw Recap. It comes out every Tuesday morning. So if you need more of this, you'll get it on Tuesday. I'm sure we'll have emergency podcasts. Subscribe across all audio platforms. Leave ratings. Leave reviews. Subscribe to the Notsam Wrestling YouTube channel. Hit like. Leave a comment, and we will see you very, very, very soon here on Notsam Wrestling.